you doing today, guys? Gonna come at you with my carry for today, and then I want to touch base a little bit on yesterday's video. Had a really good discussion down there in the comments. Today's carry is the CC SNG paired up with the case swayback jack. This is in chestnut bone, I believe, in the CV steel. I still highly suggest this knife. If you're looking for a nice little backup blade to your main tactical blade, they complement each other really well. I've already got a review on this. And then that little pen blade is really nice to keep as sharp as possible and then just never use it. That way when you need a super sharp blade, you got it. They're called the pen blade because back in the day, the quill for your pen had to be sharpened, and this was the blade you was to use. So there you go. The more you know. Or so I was told. I never lived back then. Anyways. Alright, so touching on yesterday's video, I also have one more thing I want to touch on a little bit after this. Is I'm saying this to remind myself, mostly. Knife reviews and how... what are you guys' thoughts, really? I don't know how to word it, but anyways. So anyways, touching base on yesterday's video would be... Okay, so if bearings are super important to you and you're willing to sacrifice some strength, then, you know, that all that I had discussed might be a non-issue. So I wouldn't, like, discourage anybody from buying that knife. I was saying, for me personally, I wouldn't want to sacrifice that in a blade. To me personally, S90V blade with a saber ground blade. Usually saber ground blades are made for harder use. You should be able to do some light prying and stuff. And again, somebody else raised that issue. Right tool for the right job, so maybe you shouldn't be prying with that knife. They do kind of have a point, but then again, that's what the whole market for hard use knives are. And the counter argument to that is, whoever said that that knife was a hard use knife? Nobody. So, you know, to each his own. My opinion is still the same. I personally think that that knife would have been better on washers for me personally, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong if you may have a different opinion. That's fine. I'm glad that knives like that exist. You know, if that does it for you, then awesome. Just doesn't do it for me, and that's cool. Spyderco makes a lot of home runs, so we have a lot to choose from. Also, I was reading in the comments, and at Piece, which is a custom knife maker, Chris Goodwin, and maybe you can check him out. I don't think he's posted a YouTube video in a long time, but he's been making knives for 2-3 years now. It's been a while. So anyways, he was talking about how, in his experience of actually doing this, that the bearings up against the titanium, you know, spinning up against softer. Titanium is not soft, but it's softer than hardened steel, or hardened steel bearings, right? That once you wear a track into the titanium, it really doesn't go any deeper than a certain amount. And he did post the numbers in the comments of yesterday's video. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate you for chiming in and letting us know the real deal, not just speculation. That's good to hear that. Which makes sense if you think about it. In my mind, no engineering degree, but if I really think about it, if you have a bearing is a round piece of metal, right? And once it's rubbing up against, this is the titanium slab, that point of contact's only right there, right? But as it wears in, what happens? Now there's more surface area on that ball rolling around, right? So maybe that pressure is distributed throughout more surface area, which means you're not putting that much lateral force to, and then also swinging it at the same time to really wear that track any deeper once it sets itself. just my theory of why I would think that's happening. Once you push that bearing, he was calling it cold rolling. He's spinning up to so many thousand RPMs, and once it's set, it's set. That's good to hear, though, because if that knife, which somebody else posted, Robert Davis, had posted that he's looking in his Nirvana and did not see those washers in there. So maybe a non-issue on that, which is awesome. That's good to hear. All right. And then continuing my thoughts that I didn't really verbalize yesterday on that knife is going back to my other video. Everything is a compromise. So if you really value that super smooth opening and closing, and you're more of a collector, and you know, that knife will probably hold up for everything that you would ever need, and maybe it's even a lot stronger than I have in my brain, in my mind, that I'm just thinking if I go prying up a crate of wine, that I couldn't do it with that knife. And in my mind, I'm thinking that's a thicker Saber Ground S90V blade. To me, I see that knife as like a semi-hard use knife. Maybe not quite like some of the more modern day ones. You know, I'm holding this Strider. I see this Strider as, I've said it a million times, but a very good compromise between hard use and between still being a very good cutting tool. That's where I think the Strider really shines. So, yeah, most would say this is a hard use knife. Me personally, yes, but I've had two fail on me from not even really like beating on them. So the blade can crack there. Sometimes they'll crack here, right here, and up here. It's not common, but it does happen. So yeah, I guess it's a hard use knife. For me, I'm thinking ultra hard use knife, or a hard use knife would be more like a cold steel triad lock. I know, as much as that doesn't sound like you're into higher end knives, dude, why are you talking about cold steel? I mean, they have the triad lock. To me personally, I don't use my folding knives that hard, so I don't require that triad lock, and I have got all kinds of videos on that. So my favorite lock is still the frame lock. If I was looking for ultimate strength, it wouldn't even be a frame lock. So maybe, in hindsight, maybe that Nirvana would be a good EDC for me. I'm still not interested in it with the handle texture, and then just knowing that that is milled away, and that it's probably not the greatest cutter. Again, we'll know. I will have one in hand eventually. We'll get one in hand. We'll take it down. We'll look at it, and that's it. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. Good on Spyderco. Good on you guys who own them and are happy with them. There are people, lots of people who are not happy with them. So I don't know. Maybe the non-happy ones are more vocal than the happy ones, though. You know, such most things in life. So anyways, we'll see. We'll see. It'll take about 6 months to sort it all out once the hype dies down, and we'll see what happens on the aftermarket, and that's when the true story will be told. So there you go. My next topic I wanted to touch on is knife reviews, and I don't want to call, and I don't even have any particular person in my mind right now, but I know I've seen it, and I know you guys have probably seen it. I am probably guilty of it at some point in my 300 some videos, or 500, I don't know. I haven't looked at my video count in a long time. It's super hot out here. I got the windows down so you guys can hear me. Because if I had the windows up, it would really be boiling in here. So, knife reviews. You ever see knife reviews where maybe the person got the knife in, and then they review it a few days later, and they're super stoked on the knife, and it's not called first impressions, it's not called thoughts, it's not called whatever, it's called a review. And then they're so stoked on the knife, they do the review, and then maybe they'll post it up for sale a week or two later, and it'll say something like brand new, never cut anything. how did you post a review? Shouldn't a review be whatever the item is designed to do? It should at least have done that task a few times. So I don't know if there's any particular time that you should wait, you know? Like, should you have to carry a knife for 3 weeks before you can do the review? I don't think so. But should you at least carry it a few days in a row to see if anything exposes itself? Because some things for an EDC knife just doesn't pop up until that task pops up. Then you go, oh, well, I thought that so-and-so blade steel was good, but when I had to slide it under the zip tie and twist it up to pop the zip tie, the edge chipped a little bit. Or I thought it was a good cutter until I had to go cut whatever, and then it, you know, it didn't, the geometry was just all bad for that. Or I thought it had great lockup until I flipped it a couple hundred times and now it's got lock rock. You know what I mean? So some stuff just doesn't expose itself until you actually spend some time with it. Something like if it was a camp knife, I mean, I would say as fast as 2 days you could probably take it on a 2-day camping trip. I bet when you got back, any weaknesses that you liked or didn't like, or strengths or weaknesses, would expose themselves within 2 days. So I don't know. I know I'm probably guilty of it, so I'm not calling anybody out. I will be more mindful. I've tried to be real mindful of that. Not post a review unless I know my personal experiences with whatever the item is, you know. So I know it's just funny to see it. Sometimes you'll see an unboxing video, you'll see the review a few days later, and then you'll see a sale on Instagram or a sale video on YouTube or whatever, and it's like, oh, brand new or only carried once. It's like, well, But then again, if you have a lot of experience, say with a Benchmade Axis lock and a Benchmade Griptilian or whatever, and then the other knife is kind of similar to that, then maybe within a few days of carrying it, you could do the review. But still, the never cut, never carried thing is kind of suspect. But anyways, so there you go. I don't know, rambling now for 12 minutes, unscripted. I hope I made a little bit of sense. And there you go, today's pairing. Still love my SNG. If you have to go by compromise, everything's a compromise. It's like, what are you willing to give up? Some people are willing to give up a little bit of pivot strength, or a lot of it. I don't know. The jury's still out on that. Pivot strength for ease of opening. Some are willing to give up cutting edge, right? Cutting edge for handle length. Some people say, well, that's a big design flaw. Why would you ever need this much handle for this amount of blade? You know, it's very personal preference. And that's what's so great about the hobby. I mean, there's something for everybody. And then for the CC, me personally, I have to look at I have two SNGs now, and I will look at the Lego one and I will look at the CC one. If I think it's going to be a heavier cutting day, you know, which usually my days are about the same, so whatever, I might grab the Lego SNG, because what I'm giving up for the ease of carry, the CC, right, the nice thin, slide down in your shorts, 92 degrees, super humid. It's been thunderstorming and raining almost every night, little thunderstorms. I'm willing to give up a little bit of discomfort if I really had to hard use this knife right here on that jimping. It is really thin right there. That's not a comfortable spot to hold a CC SNG right here. Look for 1 second here. Look at that. That could cut you. Now, I do wear work gloves. Almost every single delivery I make, I am in work gloves that are coated in rubber, so it's not an issue for me really. But I'm willing to give that up to carry this slim knife, where some people may be willing to say, well, I can't pry a whatever, you know, a pallet or a box of wine open with my brand new limited run Nirvana. and that's personal preference. You know, I can't say that that's wrong. Some people really do value those bearings. I just particularly don't. You know, it's cool, but it's not cool to me at the sacrifice of milling out the pivot. So that's my story. Sticking to it. It is very good to know that we can have a very civil discussion. I don't block people. I don't, ban people. I don't delete comments. If you ever see a comment that's not posted, sometimes they go to the spam, and I'll be looking through comments, even 3 months later on an older video, and I'll see that 6 comments have been flagged for spam, and sometimes it's somebody who I talk to all the time. So I don't know. Let me know if you know. Can other viewers go and flag a video for spam, and then that comment just gets removed until I have to go back and approve it? I don't know. But it's pretty nice, though, to be able to have a civil conversation. I know some channels can't. You get into the gun community. If you are into I'm not, but all you have to do is take one video game video and look in the comments, and they're just terrible. It's nice that we're all civil, or most of us. I'd say everybody was yesterday. And constructive criticism is welcome. If you guys see a flaw in my logic or a flaw in my thinking, point it out. I mean, don't be a jerk about it, but I have no problem at all. I learn a lot from reading those comments. I learn as much from you guys as you may have from me, so it's good to have that community. The open discussion, I think, is very nice. It's one of the reasons I'm here, you know what I mean, to learn. It's about knives, about having fun, goofing around every now and then. So, all right, I'm out of here. Maybe we'll catch you tomorrow. I'll probably carry something different. I like rotating. Sometimes I'll get stuck on one knife for 2 weeks in a row, a month in a row, and then other times I just go crazy and switch up the combo every single day. So anyways, it's a good excuse to make a video. These are easy to do, and every time I make a video, I feel like I have 5 more topics. So I said I might run out of content. I don't know. If there's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to obsess on. That's what we do. All right, guys, see ya.